All right, well, welcome everybody. We're going to call the Select Board meeting to order for July 11th, 2022. If you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chris, do you have anything to get us to the 5:30 mark? Or 5:35 mark?
The tree bids will be being received and opened on Wednesday, the 13th. Also, I am close to being ready to issue out the RFP for the Dufresne Pond feasibility study dredging project.
Okay.
So, not much more than that.
We do have a few minutes before our first agenda item, so.
You can do departmental reports if you want.
We're ready then. Anybody have a chance to go through the departmental reports?
Yes, I did.
Chris, I know you sent out one early this morning as well. Was that was Jeremy's, right?
Yep, that was Jeremy's, yes.
Everybody get a chance to see that one?
I did.
And there's one other one that came in later on that I sent out for the building inspector too, for July 8th.
Okay.
I saw that one. And the COA came in later too.
Oh, I
so
didn't see
you
those
got a
too.
chance to see
Nope.
those too.
So, thank you. Is there a motion to accept the departmental reports?
I will make a motion to accept departmental reports.
Is there a second? All right. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, I just actually wanted to follow up with Chris on the facility maintenance since Jeremy isn't here. Did he get a chance to look into the carry in, carry out trash signs yet for the parks?
He didn't mention that to me, so
Okay.
don't know.
And then I know he replaced, or there's 12 out of the 13 sprinkler heads working at Brown Ellison now that have been fixed. Did we look into trail cams or security cameras yet, or are we still? Is that
We're still in the
progress?
process of trying to find that many of them.
Okay. Thank you. And that was all I had, sir.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? All right, it's now 5:35. We'll go into our appointment for 5:35 is Dory Gollin for Forge Pond Dam update. No?
I don't see her here.
Okay. All right. Well, put a hold on that for now. Let's see if she shows up. We do have a joint meeting scheduled with the school committee for 5:45, so we'll give a few minutes to that. That will be for the appointment of a school committee member. I can't because it's listed for 5:45, so.
You can do a citizen participation. Mr. White is here from GAA.
I was going to go into correspondence if there's any. No. All right, we'll move right into citizen participation. I know Mr. White has filled out a form to speak. If you want to come up and just state your name and address, and we'll go from there.
Peter White, 5 Gilbert Drive, GRANBY, Massachusetts. I'm here representing the GRANBY Athletic Association. I sent each one of you some of the information of just basically what we're looking for, but we've been out without storage facilities for quite a while now. We just removed the old storage container out of the Dufresne Park area, and we really have no storage. So it's going to ask permission to build a small lean-to storage facility off the back of the dugout at Brown Ellison.
Okay.
The size would be 4 by 8, so it would come off with all 4 feet, so it wouldn't be very intrusive. It would be painted the same color as the dugouts. The other two, they are due for painting anyway. We did them a few years ago. We do have an Eagle Scout in town, like Arabic, who actually wants to take on the project. He's going to take care of the funding, the fundraising, the building, and following through the whole project. Obviously, with the supervision of the GRANBY Athletic Association and scout leaders in his group.
Mm-hmm.
We also chose the visitors dugout because as you're walking into the park, the home dugout is the one you see right away that has the G on it. The visitor dugout on the side. I sent you a picture, kind of with the
Yep.
view.
So is the shed going to be, is it standalone or is it coming off the dugout?
So it's an attached lean-to, so it would actually be physically attached right to
Dugout?
the existing structure for security purposes and keep it nice and tight.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
I don't, I give a little statement saying, I know Mr. Herbert, both senior and younger. I was in scouts, I was an assistant leader at one point, and then until my son dropped out. But he's an upstanding young man, and I'm all for anything that can help out the GAA and the ball park.
One of my questions I had to Mike was, have the skills enough to complete that project? And he said, if I don't know what I'm going to do, I do have help from parents, part of the troop, to be able to make sure it's completed properly. So.
I would actually like to have the building inspector involved with it. Usually that it's not a smaller than 100 square feet and it's just a shed, but it's going to be attached to another structure that's standing there, which is pretty much a permanent structure. So I'd like to have the building inspector involved in it just to make sure that it is done according to the codes, that's all.
So just to make sure I'm clear on that, we would put together a print of what we're looking at and see the building and structure. He would give us permission and we would move on from there.
Yeah, we're actually going to give you permission if the board has agrees upon that. But my thing with the building inspector is that I would like to have him involved in it just for the safety reason as well, because it's on town property. So if something happens to that structure and it's not built correctly, I don't want to, so that's the safety for people. So
I think it's a great idea. I know many of you guys put things in your basements or in your garages and it stays there until the next season and it takes up a lot of storage. So is this going to be for the baseball equipment?
So right now, actually at Brown Ellison, we haven't been able to use the concrete building there for a couple years, a year. So we actually have equipment leaning up the back, on the back of a dugout right now. Some of it's inside the dugout, lining equipment, brakes, things like that, which are going to be stolen at some point, probably if we aren't able to secure. And then the goal is to get stuff out of the basement, primarily for baseball, and then we're going to work on something else for Dufresne going forward, one step at a time.
How's it gonna be secured?
So the structure is going to be attached right to the building, and then it's going to be locked and,
With a padlock?
yeah, I would say padlock, or the doors, there's, swinging open doors, so you should be able to do a lock or a padlock.
Is a 4x8 gonna be big enough? And I ask because you seem like you always run out of space
Yeah,
after you build it.
To be honest, I would say no, but when you're looking at, with Mike was looking at kits to work with, 4x8 was the one that was the easiest to obtain right now.
Yep.
I mean, they do make 4x10s and 4x12s, but they're not available. We don't want to make the project harder than it has to be either. So the 4x8 is enough to at least get the equipment in there that we're using to maintain the field as best as possible. And then we can put bags and stuff in there during the week. And again, the storage unit that we had at Dufresne Park has rotted out, so we recently removed it. So we're going to have to replace that at some point. Just need money.
Yeah, I think, like I said, my only concern is that the building inspector is part of it, just so.
Make sure he's all involved with this.
Yeah, that's because he's gonna have to make sure where it's going is gonna be a proper spot for it anyway, so.
Sure.
When do you guys plan on starting the project?
So step one was to come here and make sure we could get approval, and then from there I would meet with Mike and he would put together the plans, and then I guess from there we would talk to the building inspector. I know he wants to involve his brother, old brother's going off to college, and that's in the next few months here. So they'd like to get going ASAP. We obviously would go through the proper channels and make sure we're doing what we're supposed to do. Definitely before the park's closed.
Now, is it, it's a kit? You're just gonna put?
Yeah, so it's like it's this, pretty much the 4x8 kit comes with everything you need
Okay.
for that, except for the flooring and then the roof. So
Okay.
those would be the extra kits for those.
Okay.
Pretty straightforward from there. We didn't want to have him fill them up from scratch.
You can handle it.
I'm sure he could. I couldn't handle it. He probably could.
All right. I know, Paul, how do you pronounce your last name? Casey. I was gonna say that, but I wasn't sure if that's actually the way it comes out. All right, so, I know he's gonna be part of this, so I'm gonna ask him if you wanna come up, Paul, you wanna come up and speak now? At kind of the same time that, Mr. White's up here, cause it's the same thing, yeah. So if you just kind of, same thing, state your name and address.
Paul Casey, 25 Lyman Street.
Yep.
I'm the senior patrol leader for GRANBY Postcard 206.
Okay.
I'm working on a Eagle project as well, and I'm hoping to get your permission. The project is the Dufresne Park. We have a camp set up there currently, which was a former Eagle project from 10 years ago or so. Still maintains it. We have 5 8x8 with 10 platforms right there. My project is to improve on the camp by adding what's called an Adirondack, which is pretty much another platform, except it has a cover roof on. And you have to
Yeah.
you guys would like to see them.
That's great. I know here.
That was like leaves for wood storage and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, an Adirondack is a multi-purpose structure. It can be used for storage, for sleeping quarters, or like basic cooking.
The floors are so comfortable.
Yes, it's a lot better than being on the ground. So I'm looking for your permission to build it on this campsite. With your permission, ideally, I'd like to get the project done August, September-ish timeline, depending on how long it takes for me to get approval from my Boy Scout Troop and Council, which it
do you turn 18?
I turn 18 in March of next year.
And this is a kit as well?
This is from scratch, but I
Okay.
do have 2 carpenters and 2 who are helping me build this. Those blueprints, I do have a supply list from scratch that I have everything I need to build. And just like Mikey's project, I will be getting assistance going through as well as the plans and other things.
The people that know construction, are they licensed contractors? Do you know, Major? Yes.
Cool.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I was his coach.
Okay, all right.
Where is the kitchen site? I can't picture.
So if you go in,
What's
the
the-
post cracks,
Yeah.
there's a pathway right across their development. It's about 20 feet or so up into the woods.
On the right-hand side?
Yes.
Well, it's an open area now?
What did-
What
It
is-
is in the woods a little bit.
Okay,
Where that Adirondack is going is a flat area in the campsite. So
Okay.
nothing, no trees or anything will be taken out, just I need to decorate down. That's pretty much it. My project is to build that as well as basically do a general cleanup of the campsite, just like to rake up leaves, remove small sticks that have fallen, and stuff like that.
all right.
So if I'm picturing it correctly, is it right across from the dog park?
Yes, pretty much.
Okay.
That's nowhere where the forestry plan is to take out.
Not this
stuff,
phase,
right? Not
not
that
this
area.
phase.
Okay. We need to do something like that and then have that take place. I think they're both great ideas.
How
I do.
often do you guys camp there now?
We camp there at least 2 to 3 times a year or so, and I believe there is also other troops that camp there every once in a while, as well as like just people in the community coming over. And we do, like I said, my project is to clean camp up as well. We also dedicate at least 1 day a year to where we clean it up as a group. Normally we clean it up at least once. Normally it's twice, once in the spring, once in the fall.
And you're building 2 of these?
Just one.
Oh, just one, okay.
Yeah, that's just different angles.
Yep, yep. Okay.
And this would also require the building inspector?
Again, I would like to have the building inspector involved in it, same thing. This is actually even a bigger structure than the shed.
What's this, it's got the dimensions on the sides?
It does, it's 10 by 12.
10 by 12?
Yeah. So,
That is a standard size for an Adirondack.
yeah. And again, to me, it's more for safety. I mean, people are gonna be using it and we wanna make sure it's structurally safe, that it's being used for what it's built for, what it's being used for, and it's for safety, so. What the first one for this is pretty much like a shed at Brown Allison. Any further concerns with that? So we have the building inspector. My thing is, I'm okay with it, as long as the building inspector's okay with it.
Yeah.
If there's any issues, then I would ask that to come back to us.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm gonna foresee it, you.
I don't. I think it's, like I said,
But no, I agree.
you know, it's a simple structure. I mean, you can actually buy them and have them delivered and be done with it, really, so.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea to do
Yeah.
both of the projects. Would you make a motion?
Sure. Well, why don't we do one by one? We'll do the one for Mr. White at Brown Allison.
I will make a motion to approve Peter White's project along with Boy Scouts to attach a 4x8 structure, that's a kit, as well as the building inspector to be involved in the process.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any further discussion at this time?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll also make a motion to approve Paul Casey's Adirondack multi-purpose structure on Dufrane's Park property, which would be a 10 by 12 foot, also involving the building inspector along the way.
And second that?
The same thing would apply where if the building inspector has any concerns, within the project to come back to us, and he can inform us of his concerns. So. All right. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There you go.
Thank you.
All set. Thank you.
Good luck, Paul.
All right. Well, why don't we move right into school committee? There's at 5:45. Respect your time.
The time is 5:51, and I'd like to call the school committee portion of the first committee meeting open.
All right. So my understanding is that the school committee has a person they want to recommend for the open seat for the school committee, correct?
Yes.
Sure.
Jennifer Bartos, chair of the school committee, National Board of Trustees. Yes, we are here because George Belton, who's seated in the back here, has stepped forward as an interested party to join our committee, and we need your approval to appoint him, and it's our understanding it's a one-year appointment.
Yes, to the next election. I mean, I don't have any concerns. That's the gentleman who wants to be part of it. The school committee is in favor of him being part of it. The appointment be till, it's not for 1 year, it's for till the next election, which is May,
May 18th or 20th.
yeah, so,
May of 2023.
right, so we'd have to get the exact date. He'd be appointed. Huh? I don't know when it
Yeah.
is, but that's when the appointment would be till.
So we see
Do you want to talk to him?
George?
Yeah.
First of all, I thank you to step forward. I read your letter, and it's a great, thanks for doing it. Are you gonna run?
We'll see how it goes, for sure.
Okay.
It's not off the table by any means.
Got a good group of women here. You got offset a little.
No, it's not still done.
It's great. It's great. Thanks for doing this. That's all I want to say.
That, again, with any committee or board within the town, whether it's an elected position or it's an appointed position, it's always greatly appreciated, especially for myself as just a resident, that people step up and take on that challenge. And I know for myself, and it's probably speaking for the other board members, it's definitely a commitment. And you know, sometimes you don't realize how much of a commitment it can be at times. But you know, if you're up for the challenge, I do call it a challenge because I believe it is a challenge. But there's a lot of rewards, I think. No, but I think going on, I think there's actually a lot of rewards to it too. I think, you know, I know for myself, you feel good about being part of some of the decisions that are being made and kind of what your views are as well. So I think it's a good thing. I've had several say communications, but with the school committee being part of their not part of their committee, but being the liaison with the select board. I think it's a great group of people. I think he'd be a great addition to their team.
I will be abstaining just because of my conflict of interest, because I'm already a school employee.
All right.
So,
Well, there you go. Yeah. Would you like to make
So, yes, I'll make a motion that we accept this one-year appointment to the school committee.
Well, it's not a 1-year appointment,
exactly.
so it is. So it would be till May 15th, 2023.
Cool.
I will second your motion. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody abstain? There you go.
So the next step is
Well,
to see the
school-
town clerk can get sworn.
Before
Well-
everybody leaves, everybody
It's
needs
gotta
to
be
sign
signed. Yep.
the appointment.
Got it.
We vote too. Right, the school committee has to vote too.
Yes.
So,
I'll take a motion.
Well, there you go. George?
Now you'll have to make an appointment with the town clerk at Flanagan, and she'll get you sworn in. Hopefully we'll be able to get that done for So that, I'll put a motion to adjourn the school committee portion of the joint committee meeting. I'll make a motion to adjourn. I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Excellent.
If you just sign this before you leave,
Sure.
that'd be great.
All of us are just here.
Well, I think all of you.
Everyone.
Everyone, you're all on there.
Is it okay if we approach that?
Of course. We don't fight.
Lawyers need to be nice about it.
George, if you just contact Kathy Kelly Regan, just give her a call, let her know, when you're coming in. If you can't make it during regular business hours, if you let her know, I'm sure she'd be glad to, stick around and make arrangements for you.
Check if it works on my nights this week, so it should be okay.
Okay, there you go. Oh, you can't sign it, give it back.
Well, do you want me to give it to Chris?
Yes.
Chris, you need to make a copy of it before you give it to them, right?
All right, well, there we go.
So you guys are set.
All set? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, we're gonna move back to our 535, Dory Garland for Forge Pond. Hello, just state your name and address
My name is
for the record.
Rebecca. I'm here to talk about Fort Pond. I live on Fort Pond. So I'm here because I'd like to know if there's any updates or what the plan is going forward, what kind of discussion has been taking place to repair or increase the dam.
Chris, you just spoke about that, right?
No, not Forge Pond,
Oh, you're speaking about Dufresne.
Dufresne's Park.
Park.
We weren't talking about
No.
Forge Pond at this point.
So where were, last thing was with the study, the
In
dam.
in front of you in the
dam?
folder. Nope,
No.
in the second folder down. Is a study that was done by Dave Leonard.
Yep.
Is that the phase 2 study?
Phase 1.
Still phase 1. This was March 23rd, 2020.
I know there's a lot of work that he was saying that kind of need to be done. There was the concerns with the wells and things up there too. Is that a concern? I think something different.
I don't remember anything on the wells.
No.
I think the problem is if you decide to deconstruct the dam, then the wells would become an issue
Right.
because they're shallow wells. So that would create a problem. As to, I'm trying to remember this from when I read
Yeah.
it, okay? The other issue is I believe on one side of the dam, the substructure is nothing but tires, if I remember right. So that would have to be removed and replaced. And I believe he had also a concern with some erosion that was occurring underneath, I think, the dam structure itself. If I remember right, there was some erosion issues going on there. And then there was the issue of the vegetative cover along the upper portions of the dam that has to be removed.
So what I'm concerned about is obviously there's not going to be any sort of decisions made tonight. We have to look these things over. But my concern is basically, can we make a plan to go forward with something? How does this work?
Well, I do think we need to take some action in regards to it, because, you know, just with time, it's not getting any better.
Right.
So it's just gonna get worse. So I do think the board should really kind of look at everything and come up with an action plan and a time frame to start deciding what we're gonna do. Like I said, I know, 'cause I remember something about, my concern was that, was the wells, where they would become a problem for the, all the houses up there. I think that's an issue. That's a concern of mine that, you know, definitely don't wanna, for people that have to inquire or, you know, look at putting in new wells and things like that, and the concern was as well, if they can, you know, if you can get a well too, how far down they can go, if they can actually get it to work the correct way as well.
Probably Dave could answer, Dave Hunter could answer most of those
Yeah.
questions because he did the report. But I was told that there was a phase 2, a limited phase 2 study that was also done that gave you the options and costs and things like that.
The only one I see here is phase 1. And I'll,
There was a phase 1 done back on July 10th in 2014. And then a phase 1 was also done on March 23rd, 2020.
this is, yeah, right, the
So-
updated one.
Yeah, so we have the newest one in front of
Okay.
us, but as far as we know, there's no phase 2. Chris, you don't know about phase 2, right?
Not off the top of my head.
Yeah.
No.
We may have asked them for options, but I'm not sure where that document is at this point.
Okay. But from the 2014 to the 2020, it looks like the highway department did a bunch of the opinion of probable costs section. It has the highway department clearing the brush and mowing the embankment slopes and doing a bunch of other tasks that they did do. So they did take care of a lot of the stuff from 2014, but from 2020, it does look like there's a lot more to be done.
And there is some cost figures with the study as well.
Which again, it's gonna come down to money too, and how we're gonna fund this project as well. If you look on, Glenn, if you go all the way to, it doesn't have pages on it, 3-4 and 3-3, it's quite a ways in, but it gives you cost estimates, but again, that's from 2020. So, those are probably going to change.
Three dash, what?
3-3 down at the bottom and 3-4. Yep,
Right.
so it starts there.
So no matter what happens, the wells will probably be impacted, whether or not, you know, whatever the repairs are going to be, the wells will be impacted somehow, which I'm sure will have to be taken into consideration with the work that needs to be done.
Are they all shallow wells?
I believe they
Yours?
all, yes, I thought most of Granby was shallow water, but I'm not sure about that. I just heard that somewhere.
No.
I have been completely wrong.
No. Unless they consider 400 feet shallow well.
I have no idea.
Because
Not a well.
mine's 400 feet down.
The water comes out of my faucet.
Yep. Yeah, so I think we'll just have to follow up a little bit more on this. And there was, even at the beginning, there was a talk about a couple different figures as well. Right, on the first page, there's like the third page of it. It breaks it down to a couple of different options too.
for DEP
Oh,
study
the
involved
evaluation
in that?
summary detail sheet?
Yes, yep.
So when they inspected it back on March 23rd, 2020, Dory, it says that the next inspection is March 23rd, 2025.
The next inspection.
Inspection, when the dam is due for evaluation again. It doesn't mean obviously that we don't do anything, but it says that the next inspection would be then done in March 23rd, 2025.
I was under the impression, and I know this was the way it was before, was that the dam was getting inspected every 6 months or so because it's a significant hazard. So that inspection, there has to be an inspection done every 6 months.
When we go through the evaluation, it says that it's in poor condition. And then it rates each one in a 1 to 5 scale. I think like Glenn was saying, we really need to go through each one and figure out, because they give it a 3, a 2, a 5, a 4, or a 1, and then figure out where the most concern or the highest concern is. So if you just go by this report, it says the embankment is the highest concern. Or no, sorry, emergency action.
That's just an action plan, but
No.
I think the embankments are the concerns, the condition of the embankments. Yep. So, I think the bottom line is we need to figure out what we're going to do. We're going to need to take action sooner than later. I think that's just what it comes down to. And I would imagine just the cost of everything in the past couple of years has gone up. So I think to be fair, we'd have to kind of look at what this would cost to do today versus what our estimates are from 2 years ago. Because you can't really go off an estimate from 2 years ago kind of ask for that type of money and then find out you're several $1,000s short.
Right. So what is the next step?
So
I'm thinking I like the
Lenhart Consulting Service LLC, that was the consultant, should we reach out to them and see what the updated cost would be, or if they need to go out and inspect it?
that's where I am. I think because if we're gonna move forward quickly on this, is that we need to get an accurate cost on it.
Bring it up to date.
Right. I mean, and it's right, exactly. So I think reach back out to the firm. And obviously what they're providing is an estimate, not an actual.
As you, as a homeowner, have you looked into the well issue? What's the worst case scenario? The dam breaks and the water level goes down to a brook.
So
Has anybody looked into it?
No, actually, nobody has that I know of, but that did happen once before when the dam was released so that they could some dredging.
Yeah.
It was 30 years ago.
Yeah, I
But
remember, I think.
There were like 6 people that lost their water.
It did go out, I think.
Yeah, but it wasn't everybody. So I don't know, I think that would have to be something that we have to take into consideration about what, to see what that, how that would be impacted, for repair as well as, anything else. But, so that has to be part of the conversation.
I think it's something that's gonna have to be addressed sooner or later, but
So this started in I want to say 2017, where the town received a letter saying that the dam was in
dire need. of
dire
something.
need and that something needed to be done. And so, that was when we kind of organized our
Yep.
area and tried to figure out what we can help out.
So that was many boards ago.
That was many boards.
Yeah. So people like you need to keep us on their toes, and that's what you're doing. I appreciate it.
Now, did you guys end up, and correct me if I'm wrong, I know you guys have a Friends of Forge Pond, right? Is that a 5013C or is that, okay. So the funds that you raised for that, what do you use those funds for?
We haven't really been trying to raise funds. We've
Okay.
just been trying to raise awareness and, to try to see what the
Yeah.
town is going to do, and that kind of thing. So, because I'm not really sure what we need funds for. It's just community numbers.
Right. No, I was just curious because I remember Brian Gilmet, who was on the Charity Committee, was also part of that
Yes.
group, and he was going to meetings, so I just recall him mentioning it.
Yes.
So I wasn't sure if you guys were also trying to fund the dam or anything like that.
No, we have
Okay.
not been doing that. It's never a
Okay.
dam, so it's like.
No.
No, I-
It's
Mhm.
your
Yep.
place.
Right, no, I completely understand. I was just
Right.
wanting to be clear on what the Friends of Forge Pond was for.
And I do think an important thing to remember is that the study was completed for the inspection, and the study was completed for March 2020. And we all know what happened
Yes.
at that time. It was exactly when COVID came about, and
Right.
really kind of everything came to a standstill for a good year and a half or so. So definitely, I mean, I don't think it was ever really on the back burner. We remember talking about it in several meetings. But then again, we had COVID, kind of took the priority over things. But this is important. I think it's for us maybe to definitely get back at it, follow up with Dave and the counseling firm, and see what, where we are now as far as what it would cost today to do the needed repairs, if that's to be able a fair cost assessment to it.
There does also have to be some sort of grant funding from the state
Yep.
or the government. Are we prepared to apply for that?
I don't know if we're prepared with everything that we need, but we'll definitely make sure that we are. Because obviously if there's money available to us, that's not going to come off the taxpayers at Granby as far as our town. That'd be definitely something to look forward at. Absolutely. So.
So should I check back at a certain point in time, or should I expect something?
I think we're going to ask Chris to reach out and see where they feel if the study needs to be done again, if it is 2 years later, or the counseling firm feels okay with the study as it's presented to us now, that there's nothing, maybe they feel there's nothing further that may have happened over the past 2 years, and then kind of go from there. That's kind of where I am right now with it, is to kind of get a real assessment for today and move forward from there. I guess what we need to do.
All right.
Yeah.
So should I check in with Chris at some point, maybe in a month or so?
What I'm going to ask is that we get the needed information that we get, and we get back to you. I think that's our job, to get back to you and let you know where we are. So we'll follow up, as I said, with the consulting firm, and then kind of go from there and see what kind of information we'll need and kind of let you know where that stands at that point, and then we'll move on further.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. Do you need something from me in order to get back to me?
If you just want to give Chris your phone number or something, or email, and he can kind of reach back out to you as far as when we have some information. Well, they were good. Yeah, so.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Do you want email or phone number?
Both. Play it safe.
It's really quiet in here when the AC turns off.
I hear something in your coffee there. Sorry.
AC better at the station.
Yeah, it seems like they've done some depth adjusting, it seems like it's all wet.
It's a nice cell, so you can be on a message.
So we can approve and sign the maintenance warrants.
Thank you.
Chris, you didn't have anything else for us, right? Or before we
Well,
move on?
as you were talking, I got an email from Policies Director from the office of Senator Lesser's. The home rule petition that we had filed regarding the recall provision has some deficiencies in it according to the Elections Division. So they want to know if we want to move forward with the chance that it will not pass because Senate Council probably won't sign off on it, or should we delay it, bring it back, review the sections that Elections Division had an issue with, go to another special town meeting and get the revised bylaw approved at town meeting for subsequent submission again.
Well, I think it makes sense that if they have concerns with it now, is let us know what the concerns are, and then we can address those.
It's in the email.
Yeah.
It's in the
We can
email what
address
the issues
those
are.
and correct whatever needs to be corrected, and then go back to
So-
town meeting for a special meeting.
Okay,
Yeah.
so,
Can you send us that email?
yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, there's no reason to go forward if there's a possibility that it may be rejected.
So, speaking of town
I
meeting,
thought we were pretty good. I thought we kind of took that from like another town or something like that, what they were using.
I think what they did is they took sections out of various ones and they put them together to create our own.
Yeah.
But there are good examples or ones that I get in that have already been approved
Right.
by the legislature, and all we need to do is probably go through and review and make sure that we follow their template a little bit better.
All right. Okay.
And just so you know, speaking of special town meeting, we probably are looking at scheduling a special town meeting for sometime in September. We do have a couple articles that need to be addressed. One has to do with the Mass DOT project up around School Street and the work they're doing up there. They need to be able to, because they're disrupting some wetlands along Route 202.
Yep.
They do need to get another piece of property to offset that property. And there's a piece that they would like to purchase from the town of Granby. So that has to get approval from town meeting. We also have a stormwater bylaw that needs to be approved by town meeting to meet new EPA requirements. We have a couple other items that the board will need to decide whether we want to put on there or not as we move forward.
Okay.
So we could possibly get this recall fixed for that special town meeting in September?
Hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah. That's, I mean, because if we can hold off, if that's not ready for September, and say it's gonna take a few more weeks or something like that, and we can hold off till October.
I don't have a problem with that. We're just trying to work it around
Yeah.
the elections that are coming up in the fall. Because we have the primary for, I think, the House and Senate.
Senate, yep.
And then we have the actual general election
Governor too, yep, all of them.
in November.
Yep.
So we're trying, I was talking with the town clerk and we're trying to work our way around it because she requires a 35-day notice. before we schedule a town meeting, just so that she has the proper time frame to be able to
And then,
post everything.
You know, we have Labor Day as well, as one of the months, I mean.
Well, we're looking at the 19th. We're looking around the
I would
3rd.
say we're just better off pushing it off to like the first week of October, just so we're,
Well, I'm just saying, we're just
Yeah.
trying to play around with it a little bit, so,
now we're out of everything to do with September.
yes.
Yeah. All right. Okay. All right then. Moving forward for the approve and sign maintenance warrants. Crystal?
Yes, I'm just gonna make sure that I'm going. And I think she already has them in order. All right, so we have warrant number 0081 dated June 30th, fiscal year 2022. And this is a payable warrant totaling $340,143.79. We also have warrant number 0001 dated July 1st, 2022 as well. So fiscal year
Nope, that's 2023. Number 1 is 2023.
Okay, do you want me to cross off the 2022 at the top? It says 7/1/22, 2022.
But that's FY '23's beginning date.
Oh, yes. Thank
Okay?
you.
Nope, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
7/1/2022, which is fiscal year 2023, and amount is $2,349,898.36, and this is a payable warrant as well. Then we also have warrant number 0002 dated July 1st, 2022, but fiscal year 2023. And this is a payroll warrant for $239,359.78. No, I'm saying that wrong.
That's a payable
I
warrant.
think I doubled it. This is the 2 million, yeah, and then this is 002. This is a payable warrant, payable warrant, not payroll warrant, for $239,359.78. And then there's 2 of those. And then the next one is going to be warrant number 0003 dated July 5th, 2022, and this is the payroll warrant. And this is going to be for the $428,727.21. And then the last warrant is warrant number 004 dated July 8th, 2022, fiscal year 2023. And this one is going to be for $77,773.67. So those are the 4 warrants that we have. And that is a maintenance warrant that goes along with the payroll warrant.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion?
No, I actually am all set this time.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is anybody opposed? All right. Now we have the 2023 appointments. Chris, are you looking to read them? Or do you want?
Yes, I can get that one.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So we can do, if you want, so we're not going one by one.
Yeah.
We can break it up into sections.
Want to do every 5 committees?
We can do that, sure.
All right, so Alamoner's Whitting Street Fund is going to be Diane Berry, Barbara Hochschild, and Brenda Woodsharp for 2023. Americans with Disabilities Act Committee, Jennifer Crosby and Christopher Martin for 2023. Board of Appeals is Ronald Harrop and Jeremy Carrier, which are 3-year terms, which are until 2025. Building Department is Gregory Briggs, Building Commissioner, 2023. And Cable TV Advisory Committee is Gary Benson and David Johnson for 2023 with one open spot, where we don't have an appointment on that committee. Want to just keep going? Or do you want to approve, look at those and approve those?
We can just, we'll stop there. It's like,
Okay.
so you want to go every 5, we'll stop. All right, so that's your motion to appoint them, correct?
Yes.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right. Is there any discussion?
The only concern I have is just about the open slots. What were we doing about that? Are we going to post them somewhere so that people know that we have openings to these committees?
Put it on the website.
Yeah.
Put on the website? Would it be underneath that committee, or is there a certain spot that people would look for?
Under the Selectmen's news.
Selectmen News? Okay.
So, and that, again, for the people that watch on GCAM, whether the taping of our board meeting, you know, that there's a, as you'll hear, there are a couple openings on a couple or 2 or 3 different committees. So if people are interested in it, I'd ask that you contact the select board in regards to it. And by that, you can reach out to Kathy via email or directly by phone. Works as well.
How many openings on the Board of Appeals? Is there 2 more?
Yeah, there are 2 more.
2 or 3?
Oh, there is 2 more openings? Oh, okay. 2 openings.
So that'd be great, Kathy. We can get that on our website that just lists all the openings and how long they're for. All right. Want to continue?
Yeah, do we want to accept them or no?
Oh, tell me did. Oh, no, that was
There
the
was no
discussion.
second, did we?
You second the discussion, okay.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay.
Capital Improvement Planning Committee is Joseph Arabic, Robert Chauvin Jr., Charles Joe Mayhew, Thomas Roussel, and Donald Zambrowski, who is the chair, and this is for year 2023. Charter Day Committee is Jennifer Bernatchez, Crystal Dufresne, Richard Gay Sr., Carol Nobes, Lindsay Nobes, and Bridget Roy. Chief Procurement Officer is Christopher Martin. And those were all appointments for 2023 for the Charity Committee as well. Commissioner of Trust Funds is Mark Bale, Albert E. Bissett, Barbara Hochschild, and Kathy Leonard for 2023. And Conservation Commission, we have Edward Chapdelaine, and that's a 3-year appointment until 2025 with 1 opening, Kathy? 1 opening on the conservation. So that was my motion.
Okay.
I second
Second. Is there any further discussion?
that. No.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? No.
All right, next. All right, so we have constables, Louis Berry, Mark Johnson, and Kathy Leonard for 2023. Council on Aging for 3-year terms are Barbara Hochschild, Celia Laporte, and Joyce Fulverini, and that's till 2025. Julie Duff is an associate non-voting member, so she is appointed for a year for 2023. For dog officer, we have none. That is an opening. Alternative dog officer is Gordon Landry for 1 year, 2023. And electrical inspectors are Arthur Corchesney Jr., Bruce Pelletier, assistant, and Richard Rosaza, also assistant, for 1 year, 2023 appointments.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right.
Next one, I make a motion to accept emergency management director. We have 2 appointments, Christopher Martin, director, and Kevin O'Grady, assistant director for 2023. Ethics Commission Liaison, Kathy Leonard for 2023. For Finance Committee, we have Joseph Fornia,
Fernia.
and Scott Wilson for 3-year terms. But then it says 2023, so is that supposed to say 2025, or are they up 2023? It should be 25, okay. And then there's one unexpired term, which is up 2024, so is that an opening?
Yes.
It is an opening.
Yes, but you do have...
We do have several
Applicants in the
for it,
folder. Okay.
candidates for it, yes.
And then the Fire and Ambulance Department Fire Chief is Michael O'Neill until 2025, so 3-year term. Deputy Fire Chief, it says here an opening, but you do have someone.
I did speak with Chief O'Neill, and he wants to appoint Tyler Yvonne, who is the current interim deputy chief, as the deputy fire chief.
And that would be for 1 year?
Yes.
Okay. Until 2023. So actually I went to 6, sorry. I did 6 there.
That's okay.
I'll second them.
Any further discussion? No.
Do we want to look at the Finance Committee, or do you want to do that afterwards and just
We can
appoint
do-
the ones on the sheet?
Yes, we'll do that after.
Okay. So no more discussion, I'm sorry.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay. All right.
All right, so I make a motion to accept Director of Ambulance as Michael O'Neill for a 3-year term until 2025. For full-time, we have Aaron
Kerdavid.
EMT, Jean Oz, firefighter paramedic, Mike Pelletier, firefighter EMT, Michelin Turgeon, firefighter paramedic, and Tyler Avon, lieutenant firefighter and paramedic. So all of those are 3-year terms. And then for call force fire / ambulance, we have Robert Amlaw, firefighter, and these are all going to be 1 year. Marissa Bailey, firefighter and EMT, Andrew Balboni, firefighter, Roger Bancroft, firefighter, William Bragel, lieutenant firefighter and EMT, Joseph Bissett, EMT, Edward Chapdelaine, firefighter, Ryan Sear, firefighter, Zachary Sear, EMT, Hannah
Eisenstein, yep.
EMT, Joe Fernandez, firefighter and EMT, Craig Gagney, firefighter and EMT, Nicole Gafferty, firefighter and EMT, Stephen
Leakopoulos,
firefighter, Alan Leone, firefighter and EMT, Robert
Libzewski,
firefighter, Nathaniel Massey, firefighter, Brian Pike, lieutenant firefighter, Austin LaPlante, firefighter and EMT, Maya
Primakov,
firefighter and EMT, Valerie Stein, firefighter and EMT, Eric
Toya,
EMT, Raymond Warren, firefighter and EMT, Rachel
Weisbrod, yep.
firefighter and EMT, and Bradley Williams, firefighter. And then we have Forest Warden Michael O'Neill for a 3-year term till 2025. And Gas Inspector is Fred Marion, George
Fotopoulos,
and Michael McCain, all for 1-year terms until 2023.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Can I make one amendment to the call force fire ambulance?
Well,
Since this list was done, I have learned that Lieutenant Bragel has resigned from the force.
all right. Would Tyler be removed from the, well, full-time, but since if we're appointing him to full-time deputy fire chief, then he will be removed from,
Lieutenant.
lieutenant, from below, so.
opening in the full-time or no?
That is up to the fire chief.
Okay,
I don't know if there's actual opening or not.
okay.
Okay. So any further discussion besides what's come up? No?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is anybody opposed?
All right, next 5, I make a motion to accept Granby Agricultural Commission, Evelyn Hatch for a 3-year term for 2025. Granby Local Cultural Council, we have all for 1-year terms. Carolyn Dunlap
Shining.
Shining. Is it L or Ellie? L. Laguerre.
L.
Virginia Longo. Angela Marie
Mercado Santana.
Santana. Terrence. What was that again?
Shining.
Okay. Vanna Hannon. Sinha.
Yep.
Marjorie Tipton and Robert Tipton. And we have Hampshire County Insurance Advisory Committee is Christopher Martin for a 1-year term, 2023. Hampshire Regional Emergency Planning Committee is Michael O'Neill for a 3-year term until 2025. Hazard Mitigation Committee is all for a 1-year term. We have Michael O'Neill, David DeRocher, Christopher Martin, James Tromke, and Kevin O'Grady till 2023. And that's the 5.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor? Oh, sorry, is there any further discussion?
For the Agricultural Commission, do we only have one person on that?
No, that's the only one.
Oh, the only one up for appointment, okay. How many people are on it? 5 of them? Okay.
All set? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Somebody opposed? All right. Moving right along.
We have historical, I make a motion, sorry, to accept the appointees for Historical Commission, Margaret Ritter LaCasey and Cynthia Gasberry, all for 3-year terms for 2025. Historic District Commission, Stephen Nally for a 3-year term till 2025. And William Johnson, alternate member for a 2-year term till 2024. So are the other 3 open?
Yes.
Okay. So we have openings for a 3-year term, a 2-year term, and a 1-year term. Just so people listening can know the openings. All right, and then we have Land Review Committee, William Shahian for a 1-year term, and James Tromke for a 1-year term till 2023. Local Emergency Planning Committee, we have David DeRocher, Lee Lalonde, Christopher Martin, Jeffrey McPherson, Kevin O'Grady, and Michael O'Neill, all for a 1-year term. And local listening agents, we have all for a 1-year term, Alan Brooks, Earl Brown, Kurt Carpenter, Zachary Gilly, Kendall Hill Manning, Stephen Marion Sargent, Gary Poehler Lieutenant, Jason Richards Sergeant, Ryan Seneco, James White, and Kevin O'Grady Chief.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Just one point, just so you know, on the Land Review Committee, the vacant position for 1 year is the Select Board representative to that.
Okay.
Mr. Shaheen is the Conservation Commission rep, and Mr. Tromke is the Planning Board rep, and we just need a Select Board rep.
I'll be glad to be the rep. Unless someone else would like to be the rep. Any
I'll
takers?
I was gonna say, what does the Land Review Committee do?
What it is whenever anybody wants to donate a piece of property to the town of Granby, we turn this parcel over to this committee for review to see if the town should proceed with either the purchase, if they want to sell it to us, or to accept the piece of property on behalf of the town of Granby.
All you, Glenn, if you want it.
I don't mind doing it. I know the 2 other gentlemen. I'm glad to be part of it.
So then are we also appointing Glenn to that position? So Glenn Sexton for Land Review Committee for a one-year term, 2023. I make a motion.
Any further discussion?
No.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is anybody opposed? No? Okay.
All right, so we have, I make a motion to accept the municipal hearing officer, Christopher Martin, for a one-year term, 2023. Parking clerk is Gregory Briggs, Mark Johnson, Assistant 2, and William Johnson, Assistant 2, for a one-year term. Parks Oversight Ad Hoc Committee is Kimberly Myers, Megan Slozak, for a one-year term, and we have 3 vacancies, or 3 openings for that committee. Then we have the Park Police for one-year terms, Alan Brooks, Earl Brown, Kurt Carpenter, Zachary Gilly, Kendall Hill Manning, Stephen Marion Sergeant, Kevin O'Grady Chief, Gary Poehler Lieutenant, Jason Richards Sergeant, Ryan Cynical, and James White. And then for the Personnel Board, for a 3-year term, we have Albert Bale and Brian Hochschild. And then for a 1-year term, we have Christopher Martin and ex officio, and then Dennis LaFleur, associate member, for 1-year terms.
I'll second.
Second. Any discussion?
I actually had a question on kind of the workings of the behind the scenes. So if you are, whether you're an elected official or you are someone who's appointed, or I guess not appointed, but you're by contract or you work underneath the town or for the town, if you have an issue, what is the process that a person has to go through?
Such as?
So say I'm having an issue with somebody in my department, or and the department head is not hearing me out, who do I go to then?
Okay.
Well, it depends what
You,
department.
are you the liaison to the department, or is it another department head?
Another department head.
What you would do is contact the liaison for that department,
Okay.
if there is one, if they report to the Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
If they're an elected board or an elected official, there's nothing you can really do because they report to the electorate. And you can try and maybe see if they want to come and meet with the board, and you can discuss it at an open meeting and see if they're willing to work with the board. And if they're not, then there's really nothing you can do because they're elected by the general electorate, and that's who they report to.
Okay.
Unless they do something criminal, and then, of course,
Then we have to get involved, yeah.
yes.
Okay. I was just curious because I noticed Personnel Board and Municipal Hearing Officer, so you would be the electorate then, or the town administrator who then tries to help in the situation?
I'm the ex officio, so basically I'm a member, but I'm not a voting member.
Okay.
I'm there to advise the Personnel Board as to what the other union contracts are getting when they're looking at what they want to give. Because the Personnel Board is basically the advocate for all non-union employees for the town. Okay? So in order to try and keep them competitive with what the union members are getting, I go to this board and I advise them as to what other collective bargaining agreements are giving, so that our non-union people are getting properly represented by the Personnel Board.
Okay. Did you,
No,
didn't second the motion, right?
I'll second it again.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you
I
did.
think you did.
Can't remember if the discussion started before or after.
No.
All right. So in that case, is there any further discussion?
No.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay.
All right, next 5, I make a motion to accept the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission representatives. Actually, we don't have any.
It's Nina Abbott.
Nina Abbott. Okay.
Who's from the planning board?
And they did not give me an alternate.
Okay. So Nina Abbott for the 1-year term, and then there's an opening on the alternate.
But it doesn't necessarily have to be a planning board member.
Right, last time.
Okay, that's what I was
Okay?
gonna ask you.
It can be anybody else who's interested in
Being part of it.
going to Pioneer Valley Planning Commission meetings and representing the town at the Regional Planning Council.
Then we also have the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission Joint Transportation Committee, David DeRocher, for a 1-year appointment until 2023. Plumbing Inspector, we have Fred Marion, George
Fotopoulos.
Fotopoulos, Assistant, and Michael McCain, Assistant, for 1-year terms until 2023. For Police and Dispatch Department and part-time officers, we have Ryan Bartholet and Ian Howard for 1-year appointments.
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Sorry, aye. Not opposed, I'm in favor.
All right, next 5, I make a motion to accept Police Matron Lori Hebert and Marissa Bailey for 1-year terms. Police Advisory Committee, we have William Johnson, Scott Merrill, Lynn Snowpeck Mercier, Wayne Wilson, and Zachary Gilly, a non-voting member, all for 1-year terms, and we have 1 vacancy.
Just so the board knows, we are currently in contact with 2 people, I believe, to see if they're interested in serving on the board. So
Okay.
we may be bringing forth a 5th name in the near future.
Then for Public Library Director, 1-year term, we have Jennifer Crosby. Public Safety Liaison, Kevin O'Grady, Chief, for a 1-year appointment. And Right to Know Coordinator is Jeremy Carrier for a 1-year appointment until 2023 as well.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
What is the Right to Know Coordinator? I was just curious on that one.
The Right to Know Coordinator is the person who is responsible for maintaining all the safety data sheets on any chemicals that are used in any of our buildings, and to make sure that all chemicals are properly labeled, and that there's a book located at every site listing every chemical that is stored there and the safety data sheet that goes along with it in that booklet.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
All right, next 5, I make a motion to accept Sign Officer Greg Briggs for 2023 1-year appointment. Stormwater Phase 2, all 1-year appointments. Gregory Briggs, David DeRocher, Lee Lalonde, and William Shaheen until 2023. Town Accountant Christopher Martin, 2023 1 year. Town Council Brian O'Toole for 1 year, 2023. And Town of Granby Harassment Officer, we have 2, Kathy Leonard and Christopher Martin, for a 1-year appointment until 2023.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
No, I did actually have a question. I know this has been brought up at many meetings before, but maybe you guys can clarify this for me. So when I looked at the town audit, it says that the town administrator and the town accountant is a conflict of interest, but we've had it for years. So is this something that is a conflict or not a conflict?
Can't find anybody.
Not even for part-time or anything?
No.
We've done that. We've gone out 3 or 4 times. We've contacted surrounding communities. Nobody wants to do it.
Is it because it's part-time that nobody wants to do it? Because it's
Yeah.
not enough of a salary for them to,
It's about 10 to 15 hours a week.
Yeah.
okay.
And nobody wants to put in that amount of time and have the necessary qualifications to do the job.
Okay.
That's something Chris will actually to look at then too. I know we've looked at it in the past, but again, maybe just continue to look at it. So, remember last time that we had, no one applied or anything, we went out for it. anything, and nothing
We even
could
tried,
change, yeah.
we even tried contacting a CPA firm to come in and do it.
Yeah,
The guy was from out in the eastern part of the state. It was gonna cost us $40,000 for him to be here 1 day a week. Or 1 day a month, I'm sorry.
Wow.
And to prepare the annual reports, and that was it.
When's the last time we put it out to bid? Was it last year?
No,
Couple
it was
years
probably
ago?
about 4 years ago.
that's a job.
But with the market now, with people not keep finding people to even work, even in all the other industries, I think it's gonna be very hard trying to find someone to fill that position also.
Are you looking to kind of put it out there again, Chris, repost it and see if we get anybody? See what happens?
Yeah, it would be
Just to
nice
consider
to
it.
see if there's anybody,
Yeah.
but do they have to have a specialty in municipalities too?
Hmm.
Is that kind of what's hard about it when
Well-
I looked it up? Because they can't just be a regular accountant,
Right,
they have
that-
to have a specialty in
Yeah.
municipalities.
Well, they have to have the qualifications to meet it.
Yeah.
That's,
Yep.
so. We can look at doing that, Chris, again, we'll just put out the same, job posting, if you will, that we've had before in the past, same qualifications. Okay. Is there any further discussion after that?
No.
All in favor? Aye. You finish up?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'll do the next
Yeah.
6. So I make a motion to accept the tree warden, Dave DeRocher, for a 1-year appointment. Granby Veterans Agent Jeffrey Rule for a 1-year appointment. Gretchen War Memorial Committee, all for 1-year appointments till 2023. We have Joshua Bouchard, Robert Chauvin, Jason Richard, Jeffrey Rule, Brian Sowell, James Sowell, and Stephen Weatherby. Western Mass Regional Local Emergency, we have Christopher Martin and Michael O'Neill for 1-year terms till 2023 as well. Westover Metropolitan Development Corporation, John Mabira Jr. for a 1-year appointment till 2023. And Zoning Enforcement Officer is Gregory Briggs for a 1-year appointment till 2023.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion?
Is the Robert Chauvin Jr., like on the other side? Okay, I just didn't know if they
Yeah.
were the same people or not, so I just wanted to make sure.
He is the same person.
Okay.
Difference between the forest warden and a tree warden.
Tree warden is the one who holds hearings for any tree that is gonna be taken down.
Yep.
Forest warden is basically for forest fires.
Okay. That explains why the fire chief is the forest warden. All right.
And actually 2 different sections of the law too. That's
Yeah,
general
well,
law.
I would think so. Okay. Is there a second?
Yes, second.
Thank you. Any further discussion at this time? All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay. There you go. There's all the appointments. And they're official. All right. Well, 7 o'clock. So we have, the Director of Service, Senior Services. We have that questionnaire. Do we have it?
No, the board was supposed to come up with questions
I do have them.
that they wanted to put on the questionnaire.
So I actually, I'm not going to take credit for all of this. I worked with Nancy Jenks, which is the school nurse leader, just asked her questions from a nursing perspective on what kind of questions we can put out there for the Granby Council on Aging. And so her and I discussed it for about 20 to 30 minutes, and then we came up with this document. So what resources or programs being offered at the Granby Council on Aging are helpful to you? What resources or programs would you like to see being offered? Do you need assistance or support for the following areas? And if so, please describe so they would write for transportation, food, fuel assistance, clothing, medical equipment like canes, walkers, commodes, rails, etc. If they need a home health care nursing services, and then anything other that isn't in those categories. And then what methods of communication works best for you to hear about what is happening at the Granby Council on Aging and in the town of Granby. So we had a section that we put please check all that apply: telephone, mailing, email, text message, website, newspaper, and other. And then please share any other information you would like us to know. So that's kind of what we came up with, or what we thought to send out to the community. I did meet with Lisa Petraglia, thank you, the interim Council on Aging Director, and she is willing to stay in the position
So nice and
as
general.
interim until the end of the calendar year. So
Okay.
that's June 30th, correct? The end.
No, it's
December
fiscal year.
31st.
Calendar year. is December
Calendar year.
31st.
Oh, okay, so she said she's willing to go, she's willing to go till April 2023. So we have a little more time if.
That's not even calendar year or fiscal year.
Yeah. So she was hired in April 2021, she said.
So that's finished.
So,
That'd be great. Oh.
Should we need her longer, though, she's willing to stay there.
Okay.
She was just wondering how long the interim position was going to be for. Like, if there's a cap on how long you can be interim or not.
I
So
think
that
it-
was one of the questions she had for us.
Yeah, I don't think there's any cap on how long you can be interim. That's based on how long someone wishes to fulfill that until we decide we have a permanent person for the position. But would like to have the board move forward and, have someone there permanently, well, to be the say contracted person, but the person that's gonna oversee it on a regular basis, instead of having the interim person.
Is Lisa interested in staying on, or?
She's interested of staying on until, she said she's good to stay on, I believe she said until April 2023, but I could talk to her about possibly the end of the fiscal year, because that's only a couple more months afterwards, if we go to June 30th,
Well,
right? And then
right,
but
but
we need to have someone in place.
I want to have someone in place. I mean, that's
So
6,
she's
7
not
months
interested
out.
in making a permit?
She retired back in 2017,
I know,
so she
yeah, I
enjoys
remember that.
helping out at the Council of Aging, but I don't think she's
Yeah.
looking to make this a full-time position for herself.
I know we're grateful and thankful for her help. Definitely been valuable to us. And you have, well, the question here, Rick, do you have?
Yeah, they're generic, they're pretty good.
Yeah, I like them. I like
yeah.
a couple of ones of what I was kind of thinking of was just like, the general things as for what resources, programs would you like? I mean, that's the general question, like, what do you want from
I mean,
us? Yep.
So one of the struggles that the Council of Aging has is since COVID had hit, before COVID, they were serving lunch every day, but now they're only serving lunch on Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And they get about 12 people on Mondays and Thursdays, 12 to 15, which is a good number, but on Fridays, it's very iffy on whether or not they get anyone. And what they're finding is a lot of the members, or a lot of the seniors are shopping around at different senior centers and going to different senior centers because they were open during COVID, or they offer different things than we can offer. They said we're kind of more of a nuts and bolts kind of Council on Aging, where we can take care of their basic needs and necessities, but we don't really have a lot of money or resources to do a lot of outreach or a lot of programs. And when they try to schedule them, when we get those flyers where they schedule them, many times they have to cancel them because of low attendance. So they'll get maybe 1 or 2 that sign up for the classes, and that's not enough to pay someone to come in and do the classes, so they end up canceling them. So they're struggling with trying to bring back the seniors that were coming before COVID.
Struggle everywhere.
Yeah.
Are the seniors going to other
They're going to
places?
South Hadley, they're going to Belchertown, they're going to other places for
Oh.
other events or other
Oh, okay.
gatherings that they have.
We should find out what they're offering. I mean, obviously, again, those are our customers, if you will. I think
Yeah.
those are who we should be, if they're,
Who
you
we're
know,
there for.
right.
They're
And they,
residents,
if they, right, so if they can receive other things from other places, we should be looking at what they're going to those other places for. Hence the question here, and see what we can bring services for them inside our town for them.
So we should probably add a question on there, besides their basic needs, what kind of activities would they like to see happen at the Council on Aging? Is there an activities one? I think it's more
Well,
basic.
it says programs.
Okay.
I mean, that's, I mean, maybe,
Programs slash activities or
maybe
gatherings.
put another
or-
slash as activities, so people
Yeah.
don't think, they can kind of think of something outside of,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it'd be fine. Just add that in where you have resources, programs, activities. I think it would be fine. Yeah. Because I think the important piece is that, you know, I like for us to, or I say us as the town, but to provide the services that our seniors are looking for, and not to have them going somewhere else for those services, because what happens is, kind of what you said, you only have 2 or 3 people sign up, and they cancel that, well, the 2 or 3 people that signed up for are losing out.
Yeah.
Because we have people that go into other towns for, you know, different activities or services. So I need to think it's important that we figure a way to bring those people
To
home,
build
if
a
you will.
community here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did she mention what activities they had to cancel?
She didn't give me specifics, she just said that many of them get canceled due to low enrollment.
Yeah, bus trip to New York City, shopping somewhere,
No, I think it's activities that they
If
have
that's
here,
out
like
here,
their,
Yeah.
or bingo or something like that.
I don't think they do bingo here.
You know, it might be nice, we've done them before in the past, we haven't done one in a little while, but is the luncheon.
We did it last year.
The
Right.
Christmas one?
It's been a while, that's what I'm saying.
We usually do one a year.
But
No, I'm just saying, we did do it last year.
I know, just.
But because of COVID,
Yeah.
we just had to do a drive-by
I
type
know,
of
and
thing.
that's what I'm saying. So in reality, is we're just kind of, we're delivering the meals for people, just coming in, picking them up. Now things have opened up a little bit.
Maybe make it a sit down and.
Maybe do it like a sit down and even spread people out a little bit further, and tables and things like that. But if we can have the seniors come here, then we can kind of see what people are looking for too, as well as, you know, have that opportunity to engage and talk about things and, you know, what they're looking for from the Council on Aging, as well as having a meal. So maybe that's something we can look at.
If
maybe
you can more
towards-
than once a year.
Well, at least to this, to kind of, like I said, you know, it's alarming to me that our seniors are going to South Hadley and you know,
But
Belchertown
sometimes
as well.
South Hadley ones come here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they go where their friends
I'm,
are too.
I'm okay with that.
No, but I'm just saying, you know, you're trying to grab ours from other communities, but we get other communities who come here too, because they like what's happening here.
But, and I'm okay with that, but my concern is that we're providing what we can for our seniors, what they want. I want to make sure that if we can provide for them, we have that opportunity to do so. That's where I'd like to be.
Yeah, it'd
You
be
know?
interesting to hear.
Yeah,
She never
that's
told me
all.
any of that last year,
Yeah.
but then again, we were in the middle.
Yeah, so it's just, you know, again, with things are, without COVID, things are changing a little bit. Things are starting to open up more and more. I think it might be, you know, I'm not saying do it next week or next month, but it might be something to look forward to, maybe early fall or something like that. Maybe something we can do.
Oktoberfest.
Yeah. Not for Oktoberfest, but yeah.
We could call it that. And I'd say bring a keg or anything.
Yeah, but I think it'd be nice if we can, you know, somehow, you know, gives us the opportunity to get the seniors back inside the building and talk to them and kind of see what they're feeling and what they're looking for too. Gives us an opportunity as us as a board, as a group, but also the counseling and aging staff as well.
Yeah, and the Council on Aging sent out a safety survey, sorry, but they only got 30% response for the
Yeah.
seniors. So her question, my question was, how do we reach more seniors? So maybe that luncheon and advertising for it and trying to get more seniors involved, just so we can figure out how we can better help
Yeah.
them.
Next year I'll stop in.
But I just think it's, so we can at least try. I mean, if people decide not to come, then that is that
And she didn't
could
say
happen,
that they
but-
weren't coming here necessarily because we're not offering it, but they're also jumping to where their friends are going. So they follow their friends and their groups, like
Which
Chris was
is-
saying, some of them are coming
Yeah.
here.
Which is
because
understandable.
That's the way the group
Yep.
moves around.
So if that's the case, at least we know why, and I mean, but I like to
Right.
hear that from people, and then kind of we know what we needed to do, if you will, to reach our audience, is what they want. And that way we can kind of gear things to them. You know, I think it's, when you schedule an event and then you have to cancel it, a couple weeks out because you don't have enough people. I think it's, it's frustrating to the people that sign up for it,
Yeah.
but also it's frustrating for the person that's organizing the event as well. Something to
Yeah.
think about. All right. West Street School?
So, I'm sorry, does that questionnaire go
Oh.
out into something, or how do we get the questionnaire now to the seniors?
Well, we need a copy of it. I don't have a copy.
No,
of it.
so why don't we
Okay.
can
Just
add
add
that,
that
the slash onto it, activities.
Program/activities.
And then,
I can give
can we
an
mail it
update.
out to all the seniors? We can do that?
Do they have email?
Why don't we, before we mail it out, can we talk or discuss more about maybe a fall luncheon or something? Where
So we
that,
can advertise
that
at
can,
the same
that can
time.
actually go into it as well.
What are we talking about, day of the week?
I think we've done it before on Fridays, right?
We usually do ours, usually on Wednesday.
Wednesday, yeah,
Yeah, I'm like way off. Why was I thinking Fridays?
but I know that's when we do the holiday parties on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Well, we've done a Thanksgiving meal before. We
Yeah.
did a Christmas meal another time. I think the last one, we did it mid-October, I think it was, or mid-November.
Do the ones where Jay was cooking or.
Say that again, Kathy?
That was the spring, wasn't it?
No, that was a summer one.
The summer one?
That was a summer one. He set up his grill out in the back
It's
here.
like June or something, right? Well, yeah.
About July, August,
July,
something
yeah.
like that. It's during the hot weather, that's all I remember.
Is there gonna be a salt picnic this year? Been out, chief? No?
Well, they have the senior picnic in, September 8th, something like that. The salt picnic did not happen.
Yeah, so I don't know if anything's gonna, anything
because
planned.
of COVID,
Yeah,
kind of reared its head
Well,
again.
does this board want to go to the senior picnic and hand these out?
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
was just
I
thinking.
can look up
Yeah.
the exact date.
September 8th?
I
well,
believe it is, but that could be wrong.
why don't we, well, I like to mail them out too, because all the seniors won't, well, all the seniors aren't gonna come to the picnic, so,
Yeah.
I mean, it's great, but I think, if we,
We can do both.
right, you can do both, I think we'd be able to just mail them all out and ask people if you are attending the senior picnic, please bring them with you.
They had a pretty good turnout there last
Yeah.
year. I think it was only like 100 people at least.
Oh.
It's a good group.
Yeah,
And it's here, or
It
do you
was
have?
at
No,
Duke
it
Duke
is.
Frame Park.
That's why I
Yeah.
checked the date to
Yeah.
make sure.
Okay.
yeah, like we should just ask them to bring it, or just we can be there and say, hey, talk to people, did you get the questionnaire, what'd you think, and kind of make some mental notes and ask that if they bring it or bring it back.
And more there, just in case they said they didn't get it, or.
Well, we have some there, right, and ask people
Yeah,
if they want to
absolutely.
fill them out, stuff like that, take the time to fill them out, yeah, absolutely. The last thing that I want to do is hand them out there, and then some of the seniors says, well, I never got a chance to fill it out, and so. Not that they would say that, but just I want to make sure everybody has the chance to fill one out if they would like to. The opportunity.
Okay, West Street School?
I believe so. West Street School?
That was just on there, if you wanted it to be on the forefront, so.
Do we have an update on cost or no? Okay.
Yeah, I think we need to get.
We should probably look at seeing,
Our piece that we're starting.
no, we should probably see if there's a committee of people interested in the renovation or reuse of the,
Why do we need a committee? We got 3 here.
Do we have,
but they were
I did-
mainly interested in demolishing and building new. And there are some people out there who feel that the building can be renovated. Okay,
And I'm
so,
I just think, I know how renovations go and how costly they can get, because there's things that they're not expecting as they're doing renovations and they run into and ends up costing more as far as when you come from.
as part of the East Middle School project, we had an architect go in, an engineer go in and look at West Street School. Okay, so we should have probably in some of the documentation, some higher level investigation of the school that may have identified some issues. I'm just saying it.
Yeah.
So the school might have issues, is that what you're saying?
When we were looking at our MSBA project for a new elementary school,
Yep.
West Street School was considered as an option
Okay.
for our elementary school. So we had an architect and engineer do an actual study of the school as one of the potential sites in addition to the
I think I remember.
East Meadow School site. Okay?
And so the documentation,
It may be in some of the documentation as part of the feasibility study for the MSBA project.
I always worry about studies and how they're geared to, that when they're a little committee, they're gonna, the architect, what do you wanna do with it? And the committee's all again, no, tear it down. Then they're gonna design their study around tearing it down.
But the MSBA committee had a finance committee member on it, select
Yeah.
board member on it, I was on it. You had
Okay.
school personnel on it, you had, we had a couple, I think we had an architect that was sitting on it.
But that was
Okay.
looking it to be a school, not a,
But still, they still had to go through and look at the school itself, the structural,
structure.
okay? Instead of just turning around and saying we want to demolish and build new, maybe we can take some of that information and see if the school is salvageable or able to be renovated for municipal offices. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that's the way it'll go, but I do know that there are some people who are interested in serving on a committee to really go through and look at that building for reuse
Are these-
or
are these people-
replacement.
Are they contractors? A question, I wouldn't want to go in there and say, well, this wall's got to get torn down.
We do have some people who are just regular residents who want to look at it. We do have some people who I think are in the industry or various industries that are interested in it, you know, like heating and AC, you know, HVAC. We do have, I think there is an architect who may know it, or a builder of who renovates historical buildings, who is interested in it, you know. I'm just saying, there are people out there with the disciples that we may be looking for.
My personal opinion is the committee will slow this down. If we get maybe that's how it's gonna work, but I would just like to see some proposals on what needs to be done. But you need an architect to do that.
So back in 2018, there was a reuse committee. It was called the West Street School Reuse Committee. There was 5 members on it. They had option 1 reuse, and then they had an option 2 where they would raise the building. and rebuild new. According to the reuse study back in 2018, with that rate back then, it was going to be $12,230 to renovate the entire building. But if we renovate a third of the building, it was going to be $5,070,000.
Did they say what they're renovating it for, what codes are bringing it up for?
They would do the newer section, which is 1/3 of the building.
It's towards bringing it up to code for schools.
No, this wasn't for schools, this was for town offices.
That was what, right, there
It
was a
was for the
study
town
on
hall.
it. Yep.
It was to use the building, but option 2 to raise the building, it says, again, based on 2018 costs, it was going to be $490,000 for a hazmat abatement, $300,000 to $400,000 for demolition, a total of $800,000 just to get rid of the building, and then to build it new, they estimated anywhere from $3.4 million to $4.3 million, and again, that's going based on 2018 costs. I did contact a couple people about grant writers. I was going to actually bring or give you guys an update. I talked to Eric Wise from the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission, and as far as he knows, there's no grants out there for municipality buildings or for municipal buildings. So this would have to be solely on the taxpayers for this building. So that's something to think about too. So Chris, I don't know, can we take this 2018 reuse, West Street Reuse Committee report and just get updated costs based on 2022?
Still going to require funding for an architect to go through and review it, or an engineering firm.
Even though it's already in here? So we will still have to have a newer one come and do it?
Yeah, because a lot could change in 4 years. I mean, certain things are, the boiler, the roof, all these things are 4 years older than they were when they did that study. So, you know, if you know, just for example, if in 2018, well, we gave the roof, you know, the 10-year lifespan before it's got to be replaced, even though it's a new roof. I mean, that's a 6-year lifespan, so it's not, you know, could cost more to renovate versus than it did before in the past.
I want to see the process go quicker. If we got to do a committee, I don't know for it, but it's, they want to get it moved. So we finally say no.
Well, my
No or yes.
my thing is, there was a committee that, and that they gave their thoughts and opinions, and I believe there was to tear it down.
I think the committee was, yeah, I think it was because they were talking about both, right?
They're looking at the use of the building. Would it be feasible to renovate it, or is it more feasible to tear it down and rebuild a new one?
But the problem I had when I talked with the architect who did that study, when you talked about alternative ways of renovating, he never even looked at those. So he basically, I think, took his direction from the committee and did what was required of him. He didn't, in my viewpoint, he did not go out and fully investigate alternative ways of renovating that building. And that's just my own personal opinion, Glenn.
No, and
I
see
that's where I was going with it. I don't think it was fully investigated, and I think the committee was leading them this way.
most people are going to tell you that to renovate it, it's going to cost more than to tear it down or rebuild from new.
So it looks like they did go that route, but in this report, they didn't go into detail, but they said that the renovation costs were going to be not economically feasible for the best use of the building.
I read that.
Yep.
So,
What about the phases that we were talking about?
the what?
I don't think that was looked at.
That wasn't looked at. So if we do phase 1, 2, and 3 over the years, so you don't have to spend
Well, I think it
$12
will-
to $20
well,
million on the renovations.
But you will, because here's the thing that, and they did talk about doing 1/3 of the building. And I think at that time, it was a $5 million cost. The whole building was 12 million. So every time you push something off,
Yeah, the
it's gonna,
prices go
the
up.
price is gonna go up, it's gonna cost more and more. So, you know, eventually that's gonna, you know, that's gonna cost you much more than it would if you did it all in one part. You know, to me, I know I said it before, and where I stand, I think, you know, if we could give someone, if we give the taxpayers, the residents of Granby, a brand-new building that has all the benefits that comes with a new building, you know, heat, air conditioning, not that the school doesn't have, but those type of things, and, you know, everything with the new electronics and stuff like that, and, you know, it's kind of like the same thing you're looking at as far as the safety center, and the technology it's moving fast. I think a newer building is going to give us the opportunity to do something like that. I just think there's a lot of unknown in that school, and being as old as it is, you know, that could create, you know, additional costs, and that's my fear, is that as you get into the project and you start finding out things, and it's additional cost, you know. And I don't like the idea of just doing 1/3 of the building and then have the other part of the building just sitting there.
Because even that third of the building, it was last updated in 1956. So we're looking at the original building from 1941, and the two major renovations were 1951 and 1956. So even that other third of the building is still fairly old.
I'm not sold on the tear down, but I'd like to see some new numbers.
Well, I hear you, Rick, but I do, you see the cost there,
Yeah.
and the costs they're both gonna go up, but still, the cost of renovation is always more because you're working within a structure. So it costs more to tear down a wall and put up a new wall in the same area versus to tear everything down and start from scratch and build something you technically how you want it built. But I mean, I don't know, I struggle with it because I don't think it's, you know, it's almost, to me, I think it's something the town should vote on and decide whether or not what they want. It's their money. I think if it comes down to it, I think we propose that to the town as, here's option A, it will cost the town X amount of dollars. Here's option B, it'll cost the town X amount of dollars. And let the residents and the taxpayers decide what they want to do. I struggle, I don't think it's my decision to make that call.
Yeah.
I really don't,
I'm following your logic on that.
you know?
Yeah.
So, A, a tear down, B, rehab.
Yeah. So if it means that we have to go out and spend the money on to get this is A, what we can do, B, what we can do, or C, we don't do anything, and we look for a different option. But, you know, not too long ago, we talked about, you know, what we're paying for rent, and that the possibility that property is going to be sold, and who knows what's going to happen at that point for us, for our other town offices. So I think
So something needs to get done sooner or later. Yes, we
I
had this
think so,
conversation
yep.
before, and I agree with you on that. So we need to move on it. That's
So-
why I was like shying away from a committee.
Yeah. But I think we have the study that we had from 2018. I think if we take that forward and have, kind of really have it updated to today's costs and figures, I think we could go from there. And there are some, like you said, and Chris kind of referenced what Chris was talking about too. What are some of the other options as far as renovation? I know we've had discussions before that, you know, you can really tear down the whole entire inside of the building and just have a new structure inside, but the outside really stays the same, but the inside is pretty much brand new. I know those are something we talked about. I thought that was to me, it was kind of like a neat idea, because you still have the look of the outside,
Architectural.
but you're changing the inside's almost like a clean slate. Is all you do is you have the outside walls, and you change everything in the inside. So I think those are things we probably should look at as far as, okay, this is what it's gonna cost, A, B, C, and present it to the town. We have, where we hire out, have them present, at a town meeting. And again, let the people that, that pay for it, let them decide they think is the best route to go.
I'm not opposed to that. I think that's not a bad idea, but I mean, we get that rehab, we could sell this piece of property. We're not paying the rent anymore on the other one. This could go back on the tax payroll, but to help offset some of the costs. I understand it.
Whether they rehab it or build a new one, we're gonna sell this place, and we're not gonna pay rent on the other place. But the thing
But
is,
it needs to move.
It does.
I agree, we gotta do it.
because I think we just signed
And if some-
a 3-year
we can do-
term, right, with the,
Yeah, we
Way
get to
State Street.
26,
Yeah, so,
and there's that other
yeah, so I think,
amount of money that's.
I'd like for us to kind of put something together, that we could bring to, the town meeting in May. Would be nice.
So is the next step to contact or, I guess, put out to bid an appraisal for the different options?
No.
No, not an appraisal.
Okay. So it looks like that was their second step that they did in the study from the group. They had a group of commercial real estate appraisal firms come.
That was
Is
to
just for
see
the
about,
cost of the building?
to see about what we could get if we sold the building.
Okay.
Would be worth of the property if someone wanted to purchase the actual building and property.
And then we had the engineering study done.
We'd have to have an engineering study done again.
Yeah. Will the DEP come by yet and say if the well is still good?
We can turn around and reactivate the well.
Yeah.
There was no other issues. The only other thing we would have to do is just close up the drains in the boiler room, and there was one other issue that had to be dealt with. And then DEP would have no issue with us using that site.
Just septic, leach field?
They didn't mention anything, because we were able to get a copy of the last sanitary survey of that building,
Okay.
just before the school moved out. That identified, probably, I think it was maybe 3 or 4 issues that they had.
So if we get an architectural study done on the building to see what our options are, do we have money somewhere? Do we have money to pay for this?
Well, we'd have to get that, so we have a special town meeting coming up in September, October, so we'd have to get something together for that meeting to get it appropriated through the town.
I think they're pushing it to get it, have the architect come in and get that quickly.
No,
Well, no, we gotta appropriate the funds
To
to-
appropriate funds for the architectural
Architect,
engineering
yeah, for the
study.
that's all,
Okay,
yeah.
study.
Or
Yep.
architectural engineering review of the prior study.
So I think that's our first step. I think we need to do that, and then that gives us,
Then for next May, we should have a
Yeah.
proposal ready, option A and option B.
Yep,
Yeah, give them 90 days to go through a review and,
Set it up.
yeah.
Now, what about, I guess, I don't know. I'm not opposed to the phase study, but I understand what you're saying. I mean, once you start tearing down a wall or something else is gonna pop up, especially in an old
Well,
building.
let
It's
them,
like a rehab an old farmhouse.
Yeah. let them, let the, architect take a look at it and decide again, I don't want them to recommend A or B, I just want them to, here you are. This is what you could do at A, this is what it would cost you, this is what you can do at B, this is what it would cost you. But again, you'd have to have some type of, to be fair, we'd have to have some type of idea of what we wanted for a building though. there. How many square feet you want, how many offices you want, what do you want? Because you can't put a dollar figure on something without actually having something.
Yeah.
So that's something we'd have to look at for square footage, what we have here for office space, square footage, what we have for the other one as well.
Yeah,
And the library.
In the library, right. And then you get for the seniors too, so if we can put it all in together in one. If we're looking to sell this property here, we have to
I
have.
get the superintendent over, I know said he'd be interested in go, if we fix it up in
Yeah.
that building too.
Well, and again, we want to make sure that we make it large enough so it gives the opportunity to grow and things like that. It seems like you always end up looking for two things, office space and storage space. So it gives us the opportunity that we're not,
The room to grow.
yeah.
So Chris, for this project or for the architectural engineering review that we're looking for, do we have to put it out to bid to see what the cost is going to be before we go to special town meeting so we know what we're going to ask for?
I'm sure we can get an estimate from
Yeah.
some engineering firm.
We
Okay,
just asked for upwards of between this amount and this amount.
okay. So a range to see what the low end versus the high end
Yeah.
is, okay.
Okay, let's do that. Yep, work.
I think it makes sense at this
Yeah.
point.
Makes
Do
sense.
something
We
like
gotta
that.
get going.
Yep, so I agree. All right. Well, with that said,
No, before you move on.
we're so close.
Yes, you were close. You never appointed the third member to the finance
That's
committee.
actually what I was just going to bring up,
Oh.
yeah.
And number two, at the last meeting, you had a representative from the Granby Historic Association come in and ask about the gold canes
Yes.
and being able to use them from July to, I think it was October of this year.
Right. And they just want to put them on display.
I believe that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't,
Do we even know where they are?
they're upstairs.
Yeah, right upstairs,
They're
at the top of
upstairs.
the stairs.
They're upstairs on display.
Yep.
Yep.
Come here and visit Chris.
Yeah. So, I mean,
They're right at the top of the stairs.
I don't have an issue with them
Yeah.
putting them on display.
But we should say that they have to be returned to us no later than October 31st or give a sunset date.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
This is a time frame you're approved to have them, and at this time, they're expected to come back.
Where are they gonna display them?
I think at Kellogg Hall somewhere, I
Oh,
thought.
Kellogg Hall, okay.
I
I wanna
thought
make
that's
sure
what they
that
were
they're-
looking at doing it.
They're able to be displayed where people aren't touching them and stuff like that, where they get damaged and things like that, so.
What's that?
I don't think it's the, call, I think it's the historic commission
Well, maybe we just need to
society,
get the exact location where and
That
To
was
make
Mr.
sure that they
yeah,
are
Mr.
secured
Johnson
from
was saying,
public.
I think you're right, I think Mrs. Johnson, right?
Yeah, I thought she said Kellogg.
The Kellogg Hall. Yeah.
That's what I thought she said. They were celebrating the anniversary of its construction or something or other. That's what I thought, but
Yeah.
I could be
We'll
wrong.
find out where.
Okay.
No, Miss Silva did not submit anything.
Does she want to still be considered?
Well, when she was talking to Kathy, I guess, she would rather allow Miss Mallett to be on the committee
Okay.
instead of her being put out in her place, instead of her
She didn't
place.
want to take it away from her. That, she thought all 3 seats were up, there technically only one was, and she did not want to take it away from Jen.
So how many people are on the finance committee? So I know we appointed two today, we have one opening, and then
There are two other members,
John LaBar. right?
John Lavera and Robert Glessman.
Say Robert Glassman.
Yeah.
Do the town bylaws say how many people should be on the finance committee?
I think ours says 5, I believe.
5?
Yeah,
Oh, we have,
5.
do you have 5?
Yeah.
There's one open spot.
Well, we have Joe Fernia currently. He was filling the unexpired term of Rob Cannon, who
Right,
moved
Rob
out of
Cannon.
town.
Yep.
Then you have Scott Wilson, who is up for his normal 3-year term. Then we have John LaBera. We have Bob Glessman. Rich Jolivet resigned from the committee because he moved out of town.
Right.
So that's the position that we are now filling for a 3-year term. Or unexpired term, I think that is. The unexpired term for 2 years.
So what is the one that Joe holds then now?
We just appointed him to a 3-year appointment.
We left him in there because he indicated he was interested in serving again.
Yep.
And we got his reason why he's qualified.
Right.
Scott also indicated that he wanted to be reappointed to the moderator. He gave his qualifications to remain on the committee. And then we have the one open position that originally Jen Silva and Jen Mallett
Okay.
indicated they wanted to be appointed for. And then Jen came in subsequently and said that
Okay.
if it's just being considered for one position, she'd rather allow Miss Mallett to get it
Okay.
instead of her. And Miss Mallett gave you her reason why she feels she is qualified to serve on the committee.
So was Scott on it?
Scott is currently on it, yes.
So when does the open term expire?
2024. So if you look here, if you look on the appointed list, first page,
Yep.
top of the second column, we have unexpired term 2024. Joe Fernie and Scott Wilson, the 2023 should be 2025.
And what are the other two expirations?
They were just done last year, so they'd be 2024s, I believe. I think they were just done last year, right? Or 2 years? 2 years, so that would be 2020. No. It's got to be 2024. (2022) to 2020. (21) 2024.
Well, if it's a 2-year appointment,
No, 3-year appointments.
The unexpired term that we're looking at is a 2-year.
Is a 2-year
Yeah.
appointment, yeah.
Till 20.
So there, and if the other two were appointed last year, 2021, then,
Maybe 2024 is in also then.
Because they were on a 3-year.
so why is this set up that way? You have, so you
Choose
could-
continuity, maybe.
well, no, you could, I mean, reality is you can lose half your committee in 1 year.
Yeah.
That's probably the way when they started the finance committee up. I don't know. That's probably way back when they
I know.
originally did it.
It just seems like it's.
Just like selectmen, when you first set up a select board, if it's a 5-member committee, 2 are set up for 2 years, 2 for 3 years, 2 for 2 years, 1 for 1 year.
Well, depends how long they're on.
But that's what the law says when you're originally setting them up. You try and do staggered terms.
Well, yeah, because you don't want everybody off
Right.
at the same time.
So who are we considering for this? So we got Scott.
Well, the other 2 are
No,
already on it.
the
We already
only,
appointed them.
right, so,
Jen,
So
right?
we
You're only looking
Jen-
at
Jen's the
Jen
only
now.
one.
Mallet.
yeah. And I think it's, I think, again, someone that is willing to be part of a committee and really donate their time for the town, greatly appreciate it, and,
Yeah.
I don't see a reason why, Jennifer wouldn't do a good job next year. So,
I will make a motion to accept Jennifer Mallett as the unexpired term for 2024 appointment for the Finance Committee.
okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? All right. There you go. Now, with that said,
Yep, I'm done.
is there anything else anybody has before we move into executive session?
I just wanted to give you guys an update on the research I've been doing so far for the grant writer.
Okay.
So I did say that I spoke to Eric Wise from Pioneer Valley Planning Commission, and basically, what you guys are probably familiar with this, I am not, so that's why I was kind of just looking to talk to him and find out more information. But they usually, or Pioneer Valley Planning Commission kind of does it by a piecemeal basis, so we really have to have a project that we want to get done, and then they will help us find grants for that project.
Right.
He did ask me, and this might be a question for Chris, if we applied for the One Stop program, which is a group of 10 grants, and applications close on June 3rd.
Nope, we did not apply.
Okay, so that's something that we should definitely look into next year. I guess it's each municipality can apply for the grants, and it's in one shot. And it's to provide local technical or local assistance for the towns. And what they do is they do a review of the applications between June and September. And then by September, you should know if you were awarded any of their grants. And then they usually go into effect in December, January, prior or after applying for the program, if you were awarded that grant. So I think that's something we should definitely look into. But as far as a grant writer, I know we had put money aside for a grant writer / planning. Yeah, and I'm wondering if maybe what we should do is sit down and figure out exactly what we are looking to do in the town first before we allocate a salary for someone for the year, if we don't necessarily have anything that is grant worthy, I guess. I'm not sure how to go about that, but I know there's lots of things that we want or that are on the
Well,
agenda.
Right, but there's a lot
So-
of, there's a lot of grants that are out there that are available to different departments in the town, that are
Yeah.
valuable. And, and you always say a grant writer is worth the person's you know, their value is what they bring in, what they go
Right.
out and obtain grants and things like that. And, you know, I still like to have us have a grant writer. I think it's
So-
very
Yeah,
valuable
fill that
for us.
position there.
Yeah.
So the grant writer that we would go for, we said was planning and conservation, right? Is what we're looking for?
Well, they would assist with the planning board, because the planning board would still uses, the town planner would be
Okay.
beneficial for them to work with the planning board.
So the grant writer would go out and find grants for the various departments. I know Chief O'Grady does a lot of his own grant writing. So now would this grant writer take over that for him? So it kind of, I mean, you're still gonna like look for things and stuff like that that will help your
Yeah, but
department, so.
most-
I think we administer our own. I mean,
Okay.
if the town can save money and not have, because most of the information you're gonna be getting from me anyway. And, you know, the 911 grants and things like that are just always there, you know.
But there's, I guess my thing is that, there's other grants that are available. And if you have a good grant writer, that person goes, they know what's available out there. And they research it, they bring those grants to towns. You know, a lot of towns, a lot of cities do very well with, you know, getting funding from grants and things like that. They're
Okay.
upwards in hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right.
So they get where it's valuable to us, where, again, if, you know, people, I mean, we're getting the tax revenue that people are paying, and we're getting the opportunity to get that grant money and bring it back to our town. You know, and it's not to say that, you know, you have a grant writer and you have someone that you sign a contract with the grant writer and that person's here. And I know we kind of went through things like that, and, you know, you kind of put the emphasis back on that person for their job performance and what you could do for our town to make sure that
Yeah.
your salary is beneficial to the town for what you're doing. Yeah.
So I know we, two of the committees that we've lost over the years was the Energy Committee and the Economic Development Committee. So for the green community, we don't have anyone currently writing those grants because we're a green community, we could be getting 2 grants per year. So that's one example of what the grant writer
Yeah.
can help do.
That's
Well,
it,
he
yeah.
was the one we had.
I'm sorry?
The one that we had lined up to take the job, who didn't take it eventually, but he was mentioned there.
Yeah.
For the green, what do you mean he
Yeah.
was mentioned there?
Yeah. He was here, he mentioned about the green.
Oh, okay, I
Yeah.
see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so,
And like Glenn said, there's grants out there, and it's not necessarily the different sections that you can look into, and I think the grant writer would be able to look at the whole scope of things.
the whole picture.
But I also feel good where, to me, that whether it's the fire department or the police department or another department, where if you have a grant writer that can put together something for the fire department or for the police department, even if it's something.
Above and beyond
It's
what
above-
the chief does.
But even if it's what the chief does, it takes it off their plate for them to do other work within the police department or fire department or whatever department may be, instead of spending time writing grants. It takes a lot of time to write grants. You need to base it off your statistics, evidence-based, you have to show it, you know, so it takes a lot of time and effort to write grants. And if we can take that, you know, and give it the opportunity, I mean, obviously, there's still that department has still got to supply the information.
Right.
But they're able to put together and send
You
it
gotta
out.
condense it down to fit in a little box like this.
Yeah. You know. So I still think it's beneficial for us to have a grant writer and, you know, and see what happens. And if it doesn't pan out to be what we thought it was gonna be, well, that's okay too. But at least we know, I think, you know, the town has voted, they wanted the grant writer.
Yeah.
So I think we, to continue to pursue that, you know.
Did we put it out to bid or put it in the post-it?
No, because we had someone and that person decided they didn't want it.
Yeah,
So
but I
we-
thought the prior meetings we had, said we wanted it posted back out to bid.
I think he wanted to go back out. Yeah, I don't think it's been done yet. though.
Okay.
And again, we have just the same thing, the same salary range that we had before, and obviously go from there.
I was gonna say, I think we took money from that salary for something on the special.
We did, but we
Yeah.
can put it back out there again and see what we have, if people are interested in it too. Because at this time, we have money set aside for it for the
Yeah.
2020, fiscal year 2023.
Yeah,
But that's what we took from, because we don't have money in that
in
spot.
that role.
Right, it
Okay.
would be fiscal year 2023 or 2022 or
2022.
2022.
2023, we have a
just-
new appropriation.
Right, we just went into 2023, right, so that's from before, so that's, yeah. But again, I think we still move forward with that, because I think it's, again, something that
So-
the town asked for us to do, so I think we move
So it will
forward
be
with it.
posted then?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything
Who
else?
posted?
No.
No? All right. Well, at this time, I think we're going to we are going to move into executive session, under Mass General Law 30A-21, Section A, number 3, which is for us to discuss contracts, negotiations for bargaining units. And I will take a roll call vote, and before I do that, we'll come out of the executive session only to adjourn from our regular meeting at that time. So at this time, I'll take a roll call vote. Sexton, aye.
Older, aye.
Dufresne, aye?